All right, let's go.
Number 10, the wow signal, the 72 seconds that changed everything. On August 15th, 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio called the Big Ear was scanning the sky for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. At 11:16 p.m., it detected something, a narrowband radio signal at 1420 megahertz, the hydrogen line. The exact frequency scientists had predicted an alien civilization would use to communicate across interstellar space. The signal was so strong and so perfectly matched the expected profile of an alien transmission that the astronomer reviewing the data 3 days later circled it and wrote one word in the margin: wow. The signal lasted exactly 72 seconds, the maximum time Big Ear could observe any point in the sky due to Earth's rotation. It was never detected again. Not that night, not the next week, in the 47 years since. Despite dozens of targeted follow-up observations pointed at the exact same region of sky. Here is what makes the wow signal genuinely strange. It did not behave like any known natural phenomenon. It rose and fell in intensity exactly the way a signal from a fixed point in space should as Earth rotates, perfectly matching the telescope's beam pattern. It came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. It contained no repeating pattern, no obvious message, but its very existence at that frequency and that intensity was the message. We have no confirmed explanation. A 2017 paper proposed it came from a comet. The scientific community was not convinced. The hydrogen frequency is protected. Comets don't broadcast there. 72 seconds, 47 years of silence. Still no answer. Number 9, fast radio bursts. Milliseconds of energy that should not exist. In 2007, astronomers reviewing archival data from the Parkes Radio Telescope in Australia found something that had been sitting unnoticed in the data for 6 years. A burst of radio waves lasting less than 5 milliseconds. Extraordinarily bright, coming from far outside the Milky Way, billions of light years away. And in those 5 milliseconds, it released as much energy as the sun releases in 3 days. This was the first confirmed fast radio burst, FRB 010724. Since then, we have detected hundreds of them. Some repeat, some don't. They come from all directions in the sky. Their dispersion measures, the way the signal travels through intergalactic plasma, confirm they are genuinely cosmological in origin, billions of light years away. The energy problem is what keeps physicists awake. In milliseconds, from billions of light years away, the source has to be something extraordinarily compact and extraordinarily energetic to produce that output in that time frame. The leading explanation is magnetars, neutron stars with magnetic fields so powerful they would erase the data on every credit card on Earth from halfway to the moon. A magnetar starquake could release enormous energy quickly enough to explain FRBs. In 2020, a magnetar in our own galaxy produced a burst that arrived at Earth. It matched the profile of a cosmological FRB perfectly. Case closed? Not quite. That magnetar burst was 1,000 times less energetic than typical cosmological FRBs. Magnetars might explain some of them. The most powerful ones remain unexplained, and the repeating ones behave strangely. FRB 121102 repeats. Its bursts are not random. They cluster. They show periodicity, patterns. Natural processes don't typically produce patterns like this. Number 8, the alien megastructure star, the star that dims like nothing else. KIC 8462858. Also known as Tabby star, also known as the alien megastructure star. Most stars dim in predictable ways. A planet transiting blocks a fraction of a percent of the star's light, the same fraction every orbit. A clean, repeating signal. Simple. Explainable. Tabby star dims by up to 22% at irregular intervals with no repeating pattern. The dimming events have different depths, different durations, different shapes. Nothing about them resembles a planetary transit. When Tabitha Boyajian published the data in 2015, the scientific community had no explanation. Astronomer Jason Wright raised the possibility, cautiously, that the dimming pattern was consistent with a Dyson swarm, a megastructure, an alien civilization building enormous structures around their star to harvest its energy. The internet exploded. Further investigation found something even stranger. Over the past century, Tabby star has been getting dimmer, long-term secular dimming at a rate of about 0.1% per year. No known stellar process does this. The current best explanation is a cloud of dust, possibly from a shattered comet or asteroid, orbiting the star and causing the irregular dimming. This probably explains it. Probably. The secular long-term dimming is still not fully explained. The specific pattern of dips still has no perfect natural model. And the star remains one of the most actively watched objects in the sky, because every astronomer knows that if something truly extraordinary is happening there, the next dimming event could be the one that changes everything. Number 7. The North Galactic Pole Signal, the one almost nobody talks about. In 1990, the ROSAT X-ray satellite detected something strange coming from the direction of the North Galactic Pole, a diffuse glow of soft X-rays covering an enormous region of sky, far larger than any known X-ray source. Not a point source, not a compact object, a massive diffuse emission covering degrees of sky and coming from the direction where there should be very little to produce it. This became known as the soft X-ray background, and it is still not fully explained. Some of it comes from the local hot bubble, a region of hot plasma surrounding our solar system created by ancient supernova explosions. But the local hot bubble does not fully account for the emission. There is excess, unexplained emission from the direction of the galactic pole that no current model completely reproduces. Recent data from the Rosetta satellite has revealed enormous X-ray bubbles extending above and below the galactic plane, the Rosetta bubbles, possibly created by an ancient period of intense activity from Sagittarius A star millions of years ago. These help, but they do not fully close the gap. Something is producing X-rays in that direction at levels our models do not predict. We do not know what. Number 6. The anomalous signals from Voyager 1, when our own spacecraft started lying to us. Voyager 1 was launched in 1977. It is the most distant human-made object in existence, currently more than 23 billion kilometers from the Sun, in interstellar space. In 2023, NASA engineers noticed something deeply wrong. The flight data system, one of 3 onboard computers, was transmitting data back to Earth, but the data made no sense. The numbers were not matching what the spacecraft was actually doing. Readings that should have reflected reality were instead outputting a repeating pattern of ones and zeros that corresponded to no meaningful telemetry. For 5 months, Voyager 1 was effectively sending garbled nonsense from 23 billion kilometers away. Engineers could not physically access the spacecraft. They could not reboot it in the traditional sense. Every command took 22.5 hours to reach Voyager and another 22.5 hours to receive a response, a 45-hour feedback loop for every troubleshooting attempt. They eventually traced the problem to a single corrupted memory chip in the flight data system, likely damaged by decades of cosmic ray bombardment in interstellar space. By sending a creative sequence of commands, they managed to route around the damaged chip and restore coherent telemetry. But here is the part nobody has fully explained. Before the fix, during those months of garbled data, engineers noticed that embedded in the nonsense was the signal were patterns, structured repetitions, not random noise, patterns that did not correspond to any known malfunction mode of the hardware. NASA's official position is that these patterns were artifacts of the corrupted memory chip outputting predictable garbage. Most engineers agree. Number 5. The radio signal from Proxima Centauri, the one that came from next door. In April and May of 2019, the Parkes Radio Telescope in Australia detected a narrowband radio signal at 982.002 MHz. It appeared to come from the direction of Proxima Centauri, our nearest stellar neighbor, 4.2 light-years away. the star that hosts Proxima Centauri b, a rocky planet in the habitable zone. The signal, designated BLC1 by the Breakthrough Listen project, passed every initial filter designed to eliminate radio frequency interference from human technology. It was narrow-band. It drifted in frequency in a way consistent with the movement of a planet around a star, rather than a stationary source on Earth. It appeared in multiple observations. It did not appear when the telescope pointed away from Proxima Centauri. For several months in 2020, a small group of astronomers knew about this signal and said nothing publicly while they investigated. The final conclusion, published in 2021, was that it was almost certainly radio frequency interference from human technology. The frequency drift that looked like a planetary signature could be explained by interference from an aircraft or satellite. The signal has never reappeared, almost certainly. In SETI research, almost certainly is not the same as definitely. The signal has never been fully reproduced by a known interference source. No specific aircraft or satellite has been identified as the culprit. The explanation is considered probable, not confirmed. Proxima Centauri b remains the closest potentially habitable world to Earth. If there is a civilization there, this is exactly what their signal would look like. Number 4. The hyperbolic asteroid Oumuamua, the object that refused to behave. In October 2017, the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii detected an object moving through the solar system on a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it came from interstellar space, passed through our solar system, and left. The first confirmed interstellar object ever detected. It was named Oumuamua, Hawaiian for messenger from afar arriving first, and it was strange, extremely strange. Its shape, inferred from brightness variations, suggested something between 5 and 10 times longer than it was wide, extremely elongated. No known asteroid or comet has this shape. It tumbled end over end as it traveled. Then it accelerated. As Oumuamua left the solar system, it sped up beyond what solar gravity could explain. This non-gravitational acceleration is seen in comets, caused by outgassing as sunlight heats volatile material on the surface, creating a jet effect. But no outgassing was detected from Oumuamua. No coma, no tail, no detectable gas or dust. It accelerated with nothing to push it. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb proposed in a paper and later a book that the most parsimonious explanation for the shape and the acceleration was a light sail, an artificial structure using radiation pressure from sunlight for propulsion. The scientific mainstream proposed hydrogen icebergs, comets made of solid molecular hydrogen invisible to our telescopes, or nitrogen ice, a fragment of a Pluto-like world from another star system. These explanations have problems. Hydrogen icebergs are not stable over interstellar travel timescales. Nitrogen ice would require an implausibly large reservoir. Oumuamua is gone. It left the solar system before we could study it properly. We will never get another look. We still do not know what it was. Number 3. The cosmological lithium problem signal. When the universe disagrees with its own recipe. The Big Bang nucleosynthesis model is one of the great triumphs of modern cosmology. Starting from known physics and the measured parameters of the early universe, it predicts exactly how much hydrogen, helium, and lithium should have been produced in the first few minutes after the Big Bang. For hydrogen and helium, the predictions match observations with extraordinary precision. For lithium-7, the universe has produced 3 to 4 times less than the model predicts. Everywhere we look, in ancient metal-poor stars that preserve the chemical signature of the early universe, we find the same thing. Not enough lithium. The deficit is consistent across the entire observable universe. It is not a measurement error. It has been confirmed repeatedly by independent observations with different instruments across different research groups for decades. 3 possibilities. The nuclear physics used in the calculation is wrong, but it has been tested in particle accelerators and is extremely well confirmed. The stellar observations are wrong, but they have been confirmed by too many independent groups to dismiss. Or something consumed or destroyed the lithium after it was produced, some physical process we don't know about that operated in the first billion years of the universe. The cosmological lithium problem has been unsolved for 30 years. It sits there quietly, telling us that something in our understanding of the early universe is wrong. We don't know what. Number 2. The fast radio burst with a heartbeat. FRB 20191221A. The one that beats like a pulse. In December 2019, CHIME, the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment, detected a fast radio burst unlike anything seen before. FRB 20191221A lasted approximately 3 seconds. In the world of FRBs, which typically last milliseconds, 3 seconds is an eternity. But that is not the strange part. Inside those 3 seconds, the burst showed a clear periodic pattern. Bursts of emission separated by precise intervals of approximately 0.2 seconds, repeating, regular, like a heartbeat. This periodicity is unlike anything produced by known astrophysical processes at the energies involved. Neutron stars can pulse. Pulsars produce incredibly regular timed pulses, but at the energies and distances of FRBs, the known pulsar mechanisms don't work. The signal repeated. It showed structure. It was regular. The leading explanation is an extreme pulsar or magnetar in some unusual configuration, producing both the enormous energy and the regular periodicity simultaneously. This has not been demonstrated to be physically possible with current models. What has been ruled out is almost everything else. The heartbeat FRB remains the most structured, unexplained signal ever detected from extraterrestrial space. Its regularity is either a clue about exotic stellar physics we don't yet understand, or something else entirely. Number 1. The Hubble Tension, when the universe disagrees with itself. This one is not a radio signal. It is not a single mysterious observation. It is the entire universe sending us a signal that something is fundamentally wrong with our best model of reality. The Hubble constant is the rate at which the universe is expanding. Measure it one way, using the cosmic microwave background radiation from the early universe combined with the standard cosmological model, and you get a value of approximately 67.4 kilometers per second per megaparsec. Measure it another way, using distance ladders built from Cepheid variable stars and Type 1a supernova in the local universe, and you get approximately 73 kilometers per second per megaparsec. These two measurements should agree. They are measuring the same thing. The universe only has one expansion rate. They don't agree. And the disagreement has grown larger and more statistically significant with every improvement in measurement precision. It is now at a significance level of 5 sigma, the threshold physicists use to declare a discovery. The discrepancy is real. It is not going away. It is not a measurement error. This means 3 things. The early universe measurements are wrong, but they've been confirmed by multiple independent methods. The late universe measurements are wrong, but they've also been confirmed by multiple independent methods. Or the standard cosmological model is missing something, some physics between the early and late universe that we have not accounted for. New physics, dark energy that is not constant, an extra neutrino species, early dark energy, interacting dark matter. Every proposed solution requires changing something fundamental about our picture of the universe. The universe is telling us something, in the most fundamental way possible, in the measurement of its own expansion rate. It is sending us a signal that our best theory is incomplete. We are listening. We do not yet understand what it is saying. Subscribe, drop a comment. Which signal broke your brain the most? See you in the next one on Cosmic Hives.